What's up YouTube, it's your boy SlayIsland, and the first week of the NBA 2K League season is over, and that means it's time for my weekly power rankings. We're going to start off at number 17 and work all the way up to my number 1 ranked team. So here we go. Number 17, we got Mavs Gaming. In the first week, the Magic squared off against Blazers Gaming, and they ended up losing to start the season 0-1. Not only did they lose their first game, they also went winless in the tip-off tournament. This means they're the only team to not get a victory yet in the early 2K League season, and for this reason I have to put them at number 17 on my rankings. But I do see some promise with this team. They played the Blazers really tough, Control looked like a very good point guard, and they're one of the few teams who actually mixes up their offense and runs different sets. Okay, now let's move on to the number 16 ranked team. At number 16, I have Bucks Gaming. Last week, the Bucks played the 76ers and ended up losing 80-71 to start the season 0-1. In this game, King Peroxide dominated. He dropped 41 points at the small forward position. However, his usage rate was extremely high as the ball was in his hand in a 5-out set for the majority of the game. The problem with this is, in my opinion, 5-out is not going to work as your main set unless you have a star running the show. And King Peroxide just isn't that, and I think the Bucks know this. I've said this from the beginning, but the Bucks just don't have that guy who's going to be able to take over a game. And because of this, they're going to have to find other ways to beat you. And in my opinion, that's going to be with good ball movement and good defense. If they can work on these two things, they can move up the rankings. Moving on to my number 15 team, we have Raptors Uprising. The Raptors are the only 0-2 team in the league as they played 2 games the first week of the regular season. They lost to both the Celtics and the Mavs. I think the Raptors are a team that's really struggling to find their identity. In most of their games so far, all they did was get the ball to Yusuf in the low post and let him work. And that's basically been their whole offense. And it's obvious that that's not going to be enough to win you a championship in the 2K League. The Raptors need to mix up their sets. Their offense is way too predictable. Everyone knows what they're doing every play. Something needs to change or their season's going to be over fast. Moving on, we have the number 14 ranked team on my power rankings, and that would be Wizards District Gaming. In the first week, the Wizards played the Celtics and ended up losing a close one to start the season off 0-1. The Wizards showed a lot of promise as they played a very good Celtics team close throughout the whole game. I think the Wizards have potential to have one of the best offenses in the league, but so far they've only won 1 game, and that's why they're ranked so low in the rankings. And probably the biggest reason they've only won 1 game is their defense. They're allowing the most points per game so far in the league. The Wizards need to figure out a way to protect the paint. Against the Celtics, Arsenal had 38 points at center for the Celtics. If the Wizards can figure out how to play some defense, I expect them to fight for one of the lower playoff spots. Next up, my number 13 ranked team and the first 1-0 team on this list is Grizz Gaming. In the first week, the Grizz upset the Pacers 64-57 to start their early season off 1-0. After the tip-off tournament, it was a near consensus that the Grizz were the worst team in the league, but after beating the Pacers, they're no longer there. The big adjustment for this team was moving Authentic African to small forward and letting him be the primary ball handler of this club. This change, plus moving Winner Stays On to shooting guard and putting him on a pure sharpshooter, makes the Grizz a formidable opponent that can upset anyone. I still don't see the Grizz making playoffs, but if they can start racking up some early wins, they'll definitely be in contention. Now we're at the number 12 ranked team in my power rankings, and that would be Heat Check Gaming. In the first week, the Heat played the Pistons and ended up losing to start the season off 0-1. Not only did they start the regular season off 0-1, they also went 1-3 in the tip-off tournament with their only win coming over the Grizz. With how bad they've been playing, you'd think they'd be lower in this rankings, but there's just something about them. They have a lot of potential. I know the players are good. Majestic is a great player. Hotshot is a great player. 24K Dropoff is a very good scorer. They have the pieces, but just something isn't there and they can't get it together. I don't know what it is. It might be the coaching. It might be they're not built to play under the bright lights, but if they don't get it together, they're going to fall out the playoff race quick. Moving on to my number 11 ranked team, and that would be Warriors Gaming Squad. The Warriors lost a close game to Knicks Gaming to start their season off 0-1. Before this game, there was one thing I said I wanted to see from the Warriors, and that was their guard play. In the tip-off tournament, Leica Pro and Sean Wynn disappointed. But in this game versus the Knicks, they finally showed up as they combined for 33 points. And once again, Bert is proven to be a great big man as he finished with 24 points and 11 rebounds. With all these pieces, I think this Warriors team will be a competitive team all year long and definitely compete for a playoff spot. Now it's time for the top 10 of my rankings. Coming in at number 10, we have Pacers Gaming. The Pacers had a very bad first week as they lost to the Grizzlies to start the season 0-1. I had high aspirations for this Pacers team, but a loss to the Grizzlies drops them down the rankings all the way to number 10. But with this loss, I still see a lot of potential in this team. Their defense is amazing, top 2 in the league easily. And if the Pacers didn't decide to change Wolf to a lockdown instead of the primary ball handler, they'd probably beat the Grizzlies. Without having Wolf as the ball handler, the Pacers relied on their point guard Gunnar, and he was really bad. In my opinion, they need to put Wolf back on the ball handler and let him run the show. Because if they keep relying on Gunnar, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't trust him to get them wins. Moving on to the number 9 ranked team in my power rankings, and that would be Jazz Gaming. The Jazz had 2 games in the first week, losing the first one to Kingsguard and winning the second one over the Cavs. So after these 2 games, they're sitting at 1-1 in this early season. I've said this since I first saw the Jazz play, but the thing I really like about them is all 5 players are capable scorers and are all willing to pass. But overall, I think the Jazz are just the definition of an average team. They don't do anything necessarily great, but they don't do anything necessarily bad either. I think they'll be a competitive team all year long, and they'll definitely be fighting for a playoff spot late in the year. Coming in at number 8 on my power rankings is Knicks Gaming. The Knicks started the season with a 3-point win over the Warriors to start their season 1-0. In my last power rankings, I said the Knicks needed to do 2 things to move up this rankings. Find a way to get the ball to Goofy down low in the paint, and shoot the 3-ball better. And guess what? They did both of those things. They moved Goofy to center, and he finished with 28 points and 9 rebounds. And their 3 balls started dropping. They shot 7 for 12 from downtown, and Yay Not Gaming hit the game winner from 3. Next week, the Knicks have a tough matchup against Blazer 5 Gaming. Let's see where they stack up against one of the best teams in the league. Moving on to the number 7 ranked team in my power rankings, and that would be Kingsguard Gaming. The Kings went 1-0 in week 1 with a win over the Jazz. Timely Cook, their point guard and 3rd round pick, hit a game winner from mid-range to give them a 68-66 win. I think the Kings are a very well-rounded team that can get scoring from multiple different ways. All 5 of these guys can put the ball in the basket. And when you have great defenders like Timely Cook and Worthing Colt, you know the defense is going to be there. My big critique of the Kings so far had been Moody's play. The number 4 overall pick just wasn't showing up in the tip-off tournament. But in the first half of this game, he was excellent as he knocked down several big shots. I wasn't a huge fan of this Kings team early, but I'm starting to really like how they play. Next up, we have the number 6 ranked team, and that would be Cavs Legion. Whenever anyone talks about the Cavs, there's one name that always comes up, and you already know who it is. It's Hood. And in the first week game, the Jazz were able to contain Hood, and that made the Cavs start off the season 0-1. In this game, the Cavs decided to put Sick on an athletic finisher build. And if the Cavs are planning on running a 5-out with Hood, you have to have the rest of the team on shooters. With Sick not being able to shoot, the Jazz were able to help very easily, and Hood was only able to score 19 points. Going forward, the Cavs are going to have to do one of 2 things. Sick is either going to have to get back on a shooter, or Hood is going to have to get out of the 5-out. I don't think the 5-out is going to be able to work as a primary offense for anyone, but if there's one team that can do it, it's going to be the Cavs. Now let's get to the number 5 ranked team, and that would be Pistons GT. The Pistons started off the season 1-0 with a 70-62 win over the Heat. Ramo, the Pistons' number 1 overall pick and the 5th overall pick in the draft, has been moved officially to center. And it's looking like a great move as he finished this game with 16 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and shut down the Heat's paint offense. The Pistons are clearly looking like one of the best teams in the league, but they still have one big problem, and that's the 3-point shooting. They went 6 for 15 from 3 this game, and their sharpshooter, Splash King, only shot 2 for 6 from 3. In order for this team to take it to the next level, they're going to have to find that guy who's going to be a sniper from beyond the arc. Next up, we have the number 4 ranked team in my power rankings, and that's Celtics Crossover Gaming. The Celtics started the season off 2-0 with wins over the Wizards and the Raptors. This makes them the only 2-0 team in the league and the number 1 team in the standings. Let me tell you what I really like about this Celtics team. First off, their point guard, Fab. I think he's the best player in the world, and he showed it this weekend. His ability to dominate on both sides of the ball is amazing. They also have one of the best bigs in the league in Arsenal, who's a rebounding monster and a great scorer in the paint. Now let me get to what I don't like. The Celtics offense is very predictable. Arsenal goes and sits in the paint, and Fab tries to get it to him, or Fab tries to create a shot for himself. That's about it. But nonetheless, they're a great team who has great defense and a great offense that no one's been able to stop yet. Next up, the number 3 ranked team on my power rankings, and that would be Mavs Gaming. In the first week, the Mavs had the biggest margin of victory as they beat the Raptors by 22 points. In my opinion, the Mavs have the best offense in the league, and it isn't very close. They're the best 3-point shooting in the league by far. They have 3 players, JLB, Devillion, and Ball Like Seam, who are top 5 in the league in 3-point percentage. They have the number 1 pick, Dimes, who's probably the best passer in the league. And they have a very good offensive center in Dayfry, who's been averaging over 25 points a game. Not only do they have great offense, they have the most steals per game throughout the tip-off tournament in week 1. When you add up all these factors, this Mavs team has potential to be the best team in the league, and right now they're sitting at number 3. Now moving on to number 2, we have 76ers Gaming Club. In the first week of the regular season, the 76ers beat the Bucks 80-71 to start off their season 1-0. If there's one team that I can compare to the Mavs in three-point shooting, it'd be the Sixers. They're the second best three-point shooting team in the league. Their two sharpshooters, ZDS and Nudini, aren't scared to shoot, and they hit their shots. Their point guard, Radiant, knows how to run an offense. He knows when to hit the open man, he knows how to score, he's just a great overall point guard. And their center, Steez, is a defensive juggernaut. Nothing comes easy in his paint. So the Sixers have two great sharps, a great point guard, and one of the best defensive centers in the league. Because of this, they're the number 2 ranked team. They're also the tip-off tournament winners. What more do I have to say? They're just an overall great team. And now, coming in at number 1 for 2 weeks in a row, we have Blazers 5 Gaming. In week 1, the Blazers beat the Magic 81-72 to start the season off 1-0. Going back to the tip-off tournament, they went all the way into the finals, where they lost their only game so far to the 76ers. I've said this multiple times, but the thing I love about this team is their big men. Dat Boy's shots and One Wild Walnut are the best front court in the league by far. And in a game that's dominated by big men, this Blazers team is extremely tough to beat. Not only can the Blazers beat you up down low, they also play great defense and can shoot the 3-ball. In their week 1 game against the Magic, they finished 8 from 13 from 3 and had 11 steals. The Blazers are going to be the top team in my power rankings until someone knocks them off the spot. But that's it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, I'm out.